I picked a fucked up time to stop drinking. Well, down in the description, you'll find a link to my Facebook page where I post the articles that sometimes inspire me to talk about certain topics and integrate the massive amount of fucking research I've done along with my personal experiences on shit to kind of interpret what people are saying that are scientists, experts, doctors, nutritionists, or assholes. Because there's a lot of assholes like me that do this that aren't qualified in specific, piece of paper fucking ways to talk about the subject of weight loss, health improvement, lifestyle improvement, mental health improvement. I'm not an expert. I never profess to be. I'm always learning, and you'll have seen if you look throughout my video history that my opinions have evolved based on new information, new things that I try to do. I'm always trying to do new shit. But on the topic of alcohol, which I am now alcohol-free and plan to try and stay that way for the most part with a few, special occasions thrown in. No more going to the bar every weekend and lighting the world on fire, but there'll be holidays or vacations or social gatherings around holidays or vacations or special occasions where I will partake, trying to be a little more moderate about it. Maybe switch to wine as my source of alcohol, which is more carby, but I'd rather have a greater percentage of carbs than the greater percentage of alcohol associated with hard liquor, as long as it's not pure fucking sugar. Which wine, if you get a certain kinds of wine, isn't a whole shit ton of sugar. It's still sugary, though. It's still carby. You're still making lots of fat, both from the alcohol and from the carbs. De novo lipogenesis when you drink is inevitable-ish, because your liver ramps it up. But anyway, speaking about the liver, everyone knows I've been working on my fatty liver issues. I still have it. There's some bad news on that front. When I finished Dr. Lustig's book, which I still have to do a book review on, I know. But this popped up today, and I wanted to talk about it. On the topic of fatty liver, Dr. Lustig has said, and I quote, that it can take 3 years to get your fat out of your liver, to burn it off. And that's provided you're not consistently replacing it by eating carbs, sugar, and alcohol. You need a long time. It took you a lifetime to make your liver the way it is, and then it's going to take just as long, maybe not as long, but if you're actively doing the right things, supposedly in 2 to 3 years, your liver will be normal sized again. And may even regenerate itself if you didn't kill off a lot of it, and if there's not a lot of cirrhosis and that kind of issues. But jury's still out on that for me. I'm pursuing it, though. Maybe not as hardcore, because I just said that there's going to be occasions where I split. But this study kind of gives hope in that regard. Now, I read the article, which is linked on my Facebook page, so go ahead and check that out in the description. I'll also leave a link in the description to the article as well. But I recommend, if you want to keep up on the types of shit that makes my noggin work and makes it churn, and it's not necessarily I agree with every article I'll post or disagree. Sometimes I'm disgusted by things I post up there, and I say so. So if you ever want my take on the article, go to the Facebook page. But if you just want to read the article, I link that in the description as well. And deeper in the article is a link to the actual study, which is very, very fucking science intensive. I mean, you gotta read it more than once to even get the gist of what they were feeding the mice, to what what different things meant. You can skip some of that to a degree, but you'll still be a little lost if you read the discussion portion of the actual study. So that the article summarizes it, and good enough, not quite. You should really read the discussion part of the, not just a little conclusion, abstract shit that's at the top of a study, but deeper down is a more thought out, well-written discussion of the results of the tests. And what they did is they took some fucking rats, right? And rats don't like alcohol. But turns out if you fuck with them genetically and genetically modify, we got some GMO fucking rats here, you can make them want alcohol the same way we do. And they did that. I don't know if that affects the outcome. It is a data point that I'd be concerned with versus humans. But let's just, for argument's sake, say that that's true, because I am going somewhere with this as far as my personal experience with alcohol, the ketogenic diet, and fasting. They took them and they had a control group. The control group had a low-fat, 13% from fat, diet with water, and that was the control group. Then you had a group with that same 13% fat diet, but they took the sugar out of it and put, I think, all the calories from sugar that were in their food were replaced with alcohol instead of sucrose. So they basically took sugar, which fucks up your liver, and replaced it with alcohol, which fucks up your liver. And then I think they also allowed them periodic binges. So basically they were simulating the standard American diet, which is more like a 25% fat diet, but very high in sugar. And it's bad fats that they eat too. So there's all kinds of problems I have with what they were feeding these rats. But being that it's the difference in the results that kind of catches the eye, and it should lead to more studies. This should not be a reason to go binge drinking just because you're fucking keto. Alcohol has specific biological effects, but it was interesting. The study made me ask a question, and what it said in the third group, I forgot. Well, I get a little sidetracked. But the third group, they fed a 30% fat diet, saturated fat, and gave them at their own discretion. They had 2 water bottles. One had water in it, one had water with alcohol in it. And it was sweetened with, a maltodextrin because rats crave sweet. So there's a little bit of why the rats chose to drink the alcohol. But the fact is, the ones on that diet with the fat, they drank more. They took in more alcohol than the standard American diet eating motherfuckers. Pretty much, if you were looking at it in human terms. They came in, back. But the standard American diet eating motherfuckers ended up fucking with all the cirrhosis of the liver and all of the liver problems. Whereas the high-fat diet ones that were able to drink and binge at their own discretion, and they binged, and they drank a lot, their livers didn't succumb to the damage as quickly. As in, they didn't die from it. All right? Because they had a high-fat fucking diet. It wasn't a ketogenic diet. There were carbs. So, but what should is noticed, the only difference in their diets was the fat content. That's the only thing that changed. Experimental group, the control group had no alcohol, and then the water binge drinkers with the high-fat diet group. The only difference was the composition of the food they were given. It took me a while to read this through, and I had to read through a bunch of times to figure out which fucking rat was on which fucking diet, and it was fucking annoying as shit. So I got kind of, a little annoyed reading the study, but it wasn't written for people like me. It was written for researchers to read and then interpret and then pass out all these little articles, and then eventually a reporter picks up one of those papers and you get like fourth hand knowledge of the actual study and an interpretation, usually biased by that point. By the time you read about it in the New York Times, all kinds of people had their fiddles playing the telephone game, and the information just gets fucking skewed, usually in the direction of industry. So, that's my opinion on research. However, the fact that the rats that were consuming the high-fat diet had less damage than the rats that had the low-fat diet and were consuming alcohol in their food. It was a liquid diet. It's very interesting that you have that resilience to fucking liquor from alcohol, ethanol, when you have a lot of fat in your diet. So that leads me to my personal anecdotal episodes with drinking while in a long fast, hence ketosis, or drinking when ketogenic, with some fasting, but not long fasts. I have experience with that. And as I've said in the past, first of all, the alcohol is more potent. And they even said this in the study, that the chances of you drinking yourself to death go up. So if you overdo it on a binge while you're keto adapted, probably a bad idea. So be very, very careful if you're drinking on a ketogenic diet. I suggest getting rid of alcohol. We've been over this. But if you have to, you really need to keep an eye on it, all right? Because you can end up in the fucking hospital with enough alcohol in you. Because you will drink more when you are keto and fasted. Might explain some of my binges. I don't know. But it does affect you a lot more as far as drunk. The short-term acute effects of drinking. The other issue that a lot of people overlook is when you are on a ketogenic diet or fasting and you drink alcohol, it actually promotes ketosis afterwards. See, what happens is you start burning the alcohol for energy, but you don't need all the energy you're getting from the alcohol. So what the liver does then is convert it into that bad fat that sticks around the liver that can clog your arteries. That's bad for you, the fat that your liver's making. However, you become dehydrated. Anyone who's experienced the whoosh, where your weight drops the day after a heavy day of drinking, will understand kind of what I'm talking about. But you burn a shit ton of calories, and any other calories you are taking in get stored one way or another. If it's fat, it sticks around, eventually ends up in your fat cells. If it's protein, it gets metabolized into fat, through gluconeogenesis and so on and so forth. Gluconeogenesis leads to more glucose in the blood, which then gets converted to fat and so on. It's kind of a whole thing. But needless to say, if you eat while you're drinking, you're storing shit because your body wants the alcohol out because your brain knows it's getting the alcohol because it also metabolizes the alcohol, preferentially to carbs and fat. Or ketones, and everyone knows if you got a lot of, if you're sugared up, you're not in ketosis because your brain's burning the sugar, the glucose. So back to the subject. When you're drinking, after your body burns up and converts the alcohol to fat, you are in ketosis. For the most part, depending on how much glycogen you have. But you'll be in more ketosis. But if you were ketogenic and you fasted, and all you did was drink alcohol, you didn't have a lot of carbs, you didn't have sugar in your alcohol, you didn't eat anything while you were drinking, you just drank, and you drank things like hard liquor that didn't fucking muck up the works, then once that alcohol is burned off, you will be in a state of fairly strong ketosis. So alcohol doesn't truly break the adaptation. You take a momentary break to burn off the alcohol, and then your body switches back to fat burning mode because a lot of the energy it took in while you were drinking, if you consumed, gets stored as glucose and glycogen or fat. And once it's stored, it's stored. It's not available in its native form anymore. So you're pretty much in a fat burning mode when you get done drinking, if you were in fat burning mode when you started drinking and you didn't fuck that up. So those are the facts on how our body metabolizes alcohol. And what I believe we were observing is that, the rats with the higher fat diet were also burning more fat. And if your body is in fat burning mode, the longer you are in fat burning mode, the more gradual it is for the most part, but you will be burning off the fat that your liver made first when you are ketogenic, when you are fat burning. When you are using and producing ketones, you are getting them from that area. And it takes a long time to get through all that. You also lose all the subcutaneous fat, which I've demonstrated. But, my problem was I was always refilling the fat around my liver. I was always filling that shit up. And it doesn't take long to produce the fat there. You can produce a pound of fat in that area very quickly. One day of overeating carbs and sugar, and you will easily fatten up your liver and fatten up the areas around your liver and your belly. Which is why that's where I noticed I get big, when I eat fucking carbs and sugar. So bottom line for me, this article didn't really prove much. It made me ask a few important questions, as in, is it possible to occasionally, and I do mean occasionally, get fucked up and maintain a healthy liver? That's the question. If you occasionally, not every day, not every month, special occasion type shit, just what I'm looking at for my future, not even in social events, because there's a lot of those. You could easily get sucked into the social drinking realm and just end up drunk whenever we're with friends. I don't believe in that either. I also am trying to overcome some of my dopamine and addiction issues, and drinking alcohol isn't conducive to that. So that's why I'm not saying I quit drinking forever. I'm saying I quit drinking primarily during my life, as in special occasions, few and far between, by the way. I'm going to be picky and choosy on which holidays or special occasions I celebrate with alcohol, and there's not going to be a lot of them. Disney, when I go to Disney in fucking November, I'm going to drink. And I'm not going to drink after that. And I might break keto. I haven't decided that for sure yet. I'm leaning towards, I'm wavering on whether or not. But even if I do break keto, I still might not break the sugar thing. But how the fuck you do that? Well, I'll be a little mindful of the sauces that I have and the types of bread that I'm eating, fresh baked stuff as opposed to the manufactured hamburger buns that have high fructose corn syrup in it and stuff like that. Decisions like that. And of course, de-emphasize sweets, which will be the hardest thing to do for me because I do like baked goods, and I'm sure Disney has a shit ton of them. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I will be drinking. I will be eating. There will be some pasta and potatoes in my meals when I'm down in Disney. So getting back from that, I just got sidetracked there. So before you take this fucking study and decide to go binge drinking while on a ketogenic diet, know that this doesn't really prove anything. We haven't experimented like this on humans. It probably borders on unethical to, fuck up some human livers in the process of learning what you can and can't eat to drink more. Ultimately, the study does seem kind of, industry driven, that it's trying to find ways to be able to drink shit tons of alcohol and not fuck up your liver. But bottom line, currently the biggest thing that's fucking up the liver in our society is fructose. Because we consume a hell of a lot more of that than alcohol. But to fix that problem of fatty liver, you have to give them both up. And you have to give them both up for long periods of time, if not indefinitely. Or, one drink on occasion is supposedly healthy for you. But what I'm trying to say is it's that fatty liver's easy to make, hard to get rid of if you are consuming fructose, if you are drinking alcohol, whether you're one of the 30% rats or one of the 13% rats. You just have to keep in mind that saturated fat may be a balancing point for some people who maybe don't binge drink a lot but do consume alcohol. And if you're, it just goes to the point that the ketogenic diet, it's another, check mark in the dings of benefits of a ketogenic diet, in that it does help protect your liver from alcohol when you consume it. And it does. And I don't dispute that. Will you reverse fatty liver, if you're on a ketogenic diet and you consume alcohol? No, because I didn't. Now, some might argue, well, you didn't do it long enough. You only did 6 weeks the first time. You did 8 weeks the second time. Looks like you're going to only do 8 weeks this time. I know. But there will come a time where I stick to it longer and longer and longer. Like I said, keto and fasting are going to become default for me whenever possible. I realize there's going to be times in my life where it's really difficult to stay in a ketogenic diet because of the food environment. Like I might be traveling or something and not be able to do the things I normally eat. Because a lot of the things I normally eat require preparation, require a supermarket, and require a decent amount of money to purchase. So that's where I'm at on that. The article, it really doesn't sway me one way or another as far as the drinking thing goes. Drinking is an addiction, is part of the dopamine cycle, and the more you do it, the more detrimental it is to your mental health, the more detrimental it is to your liver health. And somebody who's not drinking, consequently, this was also illustrated by the control group in the study, as they also had good liver function at the end of it. So bottom line, don't drink, all right? Every once in a while, fine, but don't drink every week. Don't drink every day. Don't drink often. Keep it with the special occasions. And by special occasions, I don't mean every friend has a birthday, so you got to go out drinking. Because if you do that and you have a lot of friends, you're going to be in the fucking AA meeting before you know it. But what I'm saying is, on special occasions pertinent to your life, your birthday maybe, your, holiday, your vacation, unless you vacation too much, but I don't. So, those types of things. Have a few drinks, especially if you're keto, because it's not a big deal. You're being protected for the most part from the damage, but you're not going to reverse the damage if you are drinking alcohol and consuming sugar or carbs. It's just not going to happen. I've been trying. I've been doing this 2.5 years. I lost fat everywhere but there. Everywhere else is fine. In fact, some would argue I got too skinny in some areas of my body. And okay, but I will gain weight in those areas as needed. If I want to, I'll go bodybuild my way up and get some muscle put on in those areas. That takes a lot of time and effort, and that's something I don't have time for right now, but maybe someday I might get a hair up my ass to try and build a little muscle. But I don't really need it right now. I'm doing fine strength-wise. But moral of the story, just because this study came out, and I'm sure some media outlet will say, high-fat diet protects you from drinking alcohol, and they'll blow it up into some big fucking headline somewhere that'll make people go out and get binge drunk. I'm fine, I had fucking a big bowl of fucking salad covered with butter and a big steak with fucking fat all over it and olive oil and shit. I had a shit ton of fat. I could drink all night. No. That's the society we're in, where the media takes something like this study and blows it way up out of proportion so that it ends up as Facebook fucking statuses for everyone. And, the viral article with 150 fucking ads pops up in your fucking Facebook feed and you go and click and you're like, oh my God, that must really work. And then you fucking load up on some fat. You go down to the bar and you fucking get tanked. You spend $150 and you end up in a pool of your own vomit. And then they fucking find out that you're about to fucking die, so they call an ambulance and they take you to the hospital and pump your stomach, and then you almost fucking die, but you don't die, and then you spend a week recovering from that shit, and then all of your friends fucking come over and they're like, oh, I can't believe you almost died, you gotta quit drinking. Then you go to an AA meeting and you fucking stop drinking, you get your coins and shit, and finally, after fucking 6 or 7 months, you go back to drinking again. I know. I'm such an optimist. But that is why I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. I don't even know how much fucking sense this video made. It's probably made about as much sense as this article did to me. But the bottom line is fat helps protect against, a high-fat diet helps protect against the effects of alcohol on the liver. But it doesn't reverse them. Doesn't cure them. Doesn't make you better. And it's not infallible because you can drink yourself acutely to death because you tend to drink more. That's the other thing that came along with the high-fat group. They drank more willingly. They weren't being forced. The mouse fucking went over there or the rat went over there and fucking said, hey, oh, this is the good water. I fucking drink this water all day. No. All right. So, bottom line, drinking is bad for you in excess. Definitely. And in excess is anything more than 1 or 2 drinks a week, in my book. So, take that, the take-home message, even if you're keto, try not to drink. And if you have a fatty liver and you're trying to fix that shit, don't drink at all. Don't drink at all, don't eat sugar, and wait 3 years and your fatty liver should go away, especially if you're fasting and you're doing long fasts sprinkled in with that. I contend it might even be sooner, but they didn't really address that yet. Maybe they'll get on the horn with this fasting keto combo and do some fucking research in that realm. Ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting versus ketogenic diet alone, control group, randomized study. Make it happen, fucking experts, because I'm ready for that. I want to be there when you guys give the summary of the fucking study. Fund that shit. Make that shit happen. If that shit's out there and I haven't found it yet, by all means, just fucking link it in the description. I'll go right over there and lead it. The link between, it has to be a randomized controlled trial of the ketogenic diet, ad libitum, or, so on and so forth, and the ketogenic diet with ADF, or longer fasts, or intermittent fasting of some sort, and have the results between those two groups. Because we already know the difference between, the low-fat diet, standard American diet, and the ketogenic diet. It's no contest. Ketogenic diet smacks that shit the fuck down. There was the diet study that had all the fucking Atkins went up against a bunch of other diets. A lot of these studies have danced around this, but I'd like to start seeing studies that pit fasting and keto combos against keto alone, because I'm noticing that a lot in the comments. People are like, dude, I do keto 1 meal a day every day. It's working great. I've been doing it for a year and a half. It's fucking awesome. Lost all of this weight and I feel great. And I do agree that keto with, 1 meal a day protocol is rock solid, especially for maintaining weight. And when I get to my goal, I may switch to that. I don't know. But I have committed to this ADF thing for a while, but if I start getting too thin and emaciated looking, I'm going to switch to the MAD with keto for the most part, or I'll just fatten up some and then keep doing it, which is probably what I'll do to be able to, I'll just switch to the standard American diet and fasting, and my weight will go up, and then I can switch back to the keto and fasting, and the weight will go back down. We can just yo-yo that shit till I meet my 1 year goal. And that'll tell me something about ADF and, keto and ADF long term, which is the goal of my current protocol. I want to do a year of it, of ADF, strict ADF, to see what it does and what it does with various diets. We kind of know what it does with the standard American diet at this point. And I was doing it the light version of the standard American diet compared to, the soda drinking motherfuckers that are out there and stuff like that. So that's where we're at. Remember, I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. A lot of people, I found out there's a term to describe what I am doing now. It's called health influencer. I'm a health influencer, supposedly. I don't feel comfortable with titles because I'm just some dickhead that's, did this, tries shit on himself, figures out what the hell's going on, then goes out and does research to figure out why that went on or why certain things happen on certain diets and protocols and why fasting does certain things, why the ketogenic diet does things, and why sugar is fucking us up, why alcohol, why our addictions, why our lifestyle. There are things I try out on myself, and then I go out and figure out why, not only that they work, I've established that these things do work and they have worked. And I'm going to do a before and after video as I get close to, or as I achieve my goal, going back through my history, what I look like then and now. You can kind of do this on your own if you just look at my first vlog. Go to my first vlog. It's down at the bottom of the scroll. You got to scroll all the way to fuck down. Down there, my first vlog, and compare that to me now. Just in the face and neck area and all of that. And if you go through, you'll see more full body versions of me. You'll know I got a pooch. And it's mainly around the liver at this point. The underneath the liver part's starting to shrink. And, I'm going to go over that when this is all said and done. But I don't want to do that till I get there. And I want to be able to say it took me this long doing this to get there. All right. I don't want to give people chubs for things. I would much rather people didn't do it for aesthetic reasons, that they did it for health reasons, which is why you don't see me peppering all of my videos with before, after, during fucking picture documentation, somehow proving that it works. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to say, well, look at those pictures, because anybody can put fucking pictures on. You could do the low VLC diet, say you're doing something else, and then put the pictures up. Fuck that shit. I want you to try shit out, see if it works for you, do the research aside from what I'm telling you, and go out and improve your health, wellness, your weight, your overall quality of life. That's what I'm about. I want our quality of life to go up. I want our stupid shit to go down. I want all the crap that we've been fed to be fucking exposed for what it is. And I want us to start thinking for ourselves, improve our fucking life, and make ourselves better people and happier people and having more fulfilling life and relationships and goals, and just stop the stupidity that has fucking permeated every sector of our lives. It's out of control, and we need to rein the shit in. That's what I've been doing for the past couple of years, and it's what I am advocating on this channel now. That's pretty much the point of my channel at this point. I do sprinkle in the adventure shit and the opinion shit here and there, but we both know that the reason you're watching is these kinds of videos right here. Have a nice motherfucking day. Also, if you want to support this channel, or you want a little bit more content than you get here, you can go to my Patreon. Scott the Truck Driver. Links in the description down below. Anywhere from $1 gets you a daily blog. $5 will get you a daily vlog, where I kind of turn the camera on for 10 to 15 minutes and say whatever's on my mind or things that I'm thinking about doing and stuff like that, and opinions on shit. Sometimes random, sometimes might even be boring. Can't guarantee high quality of videos in that, but it is more. If you want more, there you can go. There's more there. And you help me do this for, a living, for more time. And if you'll notice this week, there's been a lot more videos because I'm trying to see what kind of content I can produce. Now, I am sprinkling in Uber work with what I've been doing this week, but I kind of would do this for 6, 7, 8, sometimes Monday I did it fucking 16 hours straight of content production, research, editing, posting, tagging, uploading. I am growing this. I am trying to experiment to see what level of effort I want to put into this, what level of effort it would take to satisfy you guys. This is a heavy content week. Next week will be a light content week. Only one video next week probably, and maybe a live stream for YouTube, I think. I don't know, something. Have a nice motherfucking day. And enjoy the slightly shorter video. The half hour this time. Minus, whatever. Don't drink. It's probably bad life choice. And this is coming from a lifelong drinker, binge drinker. Have a nice motherfucking day and shit.